You open your eyes, but your body doesn't move. You know what you need to do. Get up, start the day, answer the messages. But instead, you scroll, you stare, you wait. It's like there's a fog around everything. You tell yourself, I just need to get going. But nothing goes. Not your energy, not your will, not your mind. And deep down, a quiet, bitter thought starts to whisper. What's the point? You try to shut it out. You call yourself lazy, unproductive, weak. But maybe that voice isn't the problem. Maybe it's the warning sign you've been ignoring for too long. Let's say it clearly. You're not lazy. You're just hopeless. And hopelessness doesn't always look dramatic. It's not crying on the floor or screaming into the void. Sometimes it looks like sleeping 10 hours and still feeling tired. Sometimes it looks like sitting in silence, unable to start anything. Sometimes it looks like knowing exactly what to do and still doing nothing. Not because you don't care, but because somewhere deep inside, you've stopped believing it matters. Imagine this. You're trying to plug in your phone. You've got the charger, the cable, the outlet, but no matter what you do, it doesn't charge. So you try again. You reset. You unplug and plug back in, and again, and again, until finally, you stop trying. Because what's the point of effort if nothing changes? That's what hopelessness feels like. Not a lack of effort, but a deep internal belief that effort won't lead to change. Here's what most people don't realize. The brain isn't wired to chase goals. It's wired to chase reward. If your mind believes that your effort won't be rewarded, not with success, not with connection, not with relief, it stops trying. This is called learned helplessness. It's a state where your nervous system says, why bother? This won't work anyway. And the scariest part? You don't even notice it happening. You just start calling yourself lazy. But what's really going on is that your system has shut down to protect you from the pain of repeated disappointment. And here's where it gets darker. You blame yourself for not trying. You feel guilty for resting. You shame yourself for every undone task. And now, you're not just exhausted. You're exhausted and ashamed. You start avoiding everything, not just out of fatigue, but out of fear. Fear that trying again will just lead to another failure. Fear that hope will hurt more than numbness. And so, you freeze, you scroll, you sleep, you do anything that makes you forget that the weight is still there. You're not avoiding work. You're avoiding the pain that work can't fix. This isn't procrastination. It's grief. Grief for the life you imagined you'd have by now. Grief for the energy you used to feel. Grief for the version of yourself you used to believe in. And no one taught you how to grieve that. So you keep trying to push forward, when what you really need is to pause, to breathe, to feel, to finally admit, I'm not lazy, I'm hurt. Let's shift the lens. What if you're not failing? What if you've been surviving with tools that were never meant for this world? What if you're doing your best in a system, a culture, a timeline that never took your nervous system into account? Because the truth is, you've likely been overstimulated for years. You've likely been told to stay strong while falling apart. You've likely been praised for being productive, even while your soul was screaming for rest. So you kept showing up, until you couldn't anymore, and now, here you are, calling yourself lazy, when what you really are is burned out, disillusioned, and disconnected from your own sense of meaning. So what do? How do you move forward when everything feels heavy? You don't start by pushing, you start by listening. Instead of asking, why can't I get anything done? Ask, what do I need to feel safe again? That's the question no one teaches us to ask, but it's the one that begins the healing. Because hope isn't built on grand plans. It's built on tiny signals of safety. Your nervous system doesn't need a life overhaul. It needs a moment of proof that not everything will hurt. So here's where we begin. Drink water and actually taste it. Clean one corner of your room. Not the whole house. Reply to one message. Stand in the sun for 5 minutes. Name how you feel without judging it. Cry, breathe, stretch. Say out loud, I'm allowed to go slow. Each of these is not a productivity hack. They are trust signals to your brain. They say, it's okay to try again. You're safe here. You're allowed to start over, without shame. You're allowed to rest, without guilt. You're allowed to have nothing figured out and still be worthy of love, support, and softness. Because healing doesn't start with motivation. It starts with permission. Permission to not be okay. Permission to do it differently. Permission to feel broken and still move, inch by inch, toward the light. Think about this. If someone you loved was feeling how you feel now, would you call them lazy? Or would you say, I see you. I know it's hard. I'm here. Now say that to yourself. Not as a trick, but as practice. You're building a new relationship with the one person who's always going to be with you. You. And that relationship starts when you stop yelling and start listening. Hope is like a pilot light. It flickers. Sometimes it almost goes out. Sometimes it does. But it can be reignited. Quietly. Gently. Without force. You don't need to set yourself on fire to feel alive again. You just need to protect that small quiet flame, the one that says, I'm still here, and I'm not done yet. So let me ask you this. What's one small act of hope you can offer yourself today? Not for productivity, not for success, just to show yourself that you still matter. Leave it in the comments, not because I need it, but because maybe you do. Because when you name it, you reclaim it. You're not lazy. You've just been hurting in silence, and maybe now, you don't have to anymore. If this landed with you, subscribe for more like this. Not motivation, not hustle, just truth, psychology, and the quiet rebuilding of something real. Take care of your mind. You're not behind. You're healing. See you in the next episode.